know about e-payments, you are about to discover, and I dare say it may not be a great deal, but I hope it is placed appropriately. That the world economy is in a recession is now well established, well accepted. But it would be folly to assume that all recessions are the same. Yes, the world economy is currently shrinking. Those who are very optimistic are beginning to see the green shoots of growth. For some of us, as the IMF Managing Director reminded us yesterday, indeed, perhaps the worst of this recession is yet to come. However, the fact that the world economy is shrinking, that global trade is contracting, that financial markets have been through significant turbulence, are currently volatile. Yes, all of these are what we would expect. However, the point to make is that this recession is almost like none before. As I say, almost, not quite like none before. In the history of the global economy since the World War, the Second World War, this is the fourth edition of this kind of a recession. And in that period, there have been roughly 122 editions of economic recession. So what makes this one so unique? Well, there are two things. But its uniqueness is that it combines these two characteristics. First of all, the recession that is ongoing was triggered or is associated with the financial crisis. Second is that it's highly synchronized. It's global in its reach. But as I said, the uniqueness, which makes it only the fourth edition of this kind, is that it combines being global with being triggered by financial crisis. Now, this is something that is worth bearing in mind because, in my judgment, it sets the background against which whatever is going to happen in the next 2 years has to be considered. It's generally agreed that if a recession is triggered financially or by a financial crisis, it costs a lot, it lasts longer, and its recovery is generally, or recovery debit, both in terms of availability in markets and also in terms of credit policy. And therefore, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the background of the global economy is one that is of a special kind of recession, not just any kind of recession. In the recession of which we now speak, the biggest challenge is going to be the challenge of uncertainty. Where does the world economy go from here? As I said a moment ago, the IMF Managing Director 2 days ago made the point that the worst of the global recession may yet still lie ahead. But then, is there actually a recession in Nigeria? Because, yes, a global recession, but is there a recession in the Nigerian economy? Because after all, it is useful to be mindful of global circumstances, but it is imperative to act on the basis of local circumstances. The evidence for Nigeria is rather mixed at the moment. Anecdotal evidence, you speak to the companies, and everybody is reporting lower sales. But in itself, lower sales grew by an astonishing 6.3%. It is astonishing because in 2008, in the same period, first quarter, the economy grew by 5.8%. And if in the period since the first quarter of last year, we have seen oil prices collapse, we have seen local interest rates take a ride up, we have seen inflation, even though now trending downwards, had risen in the second half, in the last 3 quarters of 2008, then all of that would tend to suggest that perhaps the figures of 6.3% growth in the first quarter should be treated exactly as it is described. In other words, provisional. It's bound to be provisional, especially when you remember, as I say, year to date, oil price is $49 or 48, almost $49 on average for Nigeria's Bonny Light. This is against a budget benchmark of 45, which looks like good news. After all, oil prices seem to be going higher, $72. But please remember that for Nigeria, oil price is but one component. Oil output is perhaps an even more important component.